can happen if you're in a car accident. She claims she was told she didn't need a lawyer, and who told her? She says it was the insurance company for the driver who hit her, Allstate.
All they wanted to do was keep us from getting what we deserved.
Our hidden cameras show you what happens.
So I don't need a lawyer to sign it?
No.
Allstate says it's just presenting all the choices, but these people are crying foul, and senior correspondent Chris Wallace has a primetime undercover investigation.
Forgive me, Mr. Zeman, isn't this insurance salesman gobbledygook? A kind word or two can go a long way if you've just been in a car accident. But how would you feel if you found out those kind words came from a script, part of a business strategy to reduce the chances you'd hire a lawyer? A primetime hidden camera investigation has uncovered something you should know if you're ever in an accident. Our senior correspondent, Chris Wallace, tells us the story of some families who thought they were in good hands.
Without warning, her life was shattered.
Basically everything from the neck up on my face was broken.
Jan Jones was hurt badly 3 years ago when a car crashed into her minivan. She was blinded in one eye, and her face had to be reconstructed.
Emotionally, just tore the family apart, really.
But while Jan was still in the hospital, her husband Terry got a call from someone who seemed to care. An adjuster from Allstate, the company that insured not Jan, but the driver who hit her.
She really was reassuring at the time to know somebody was there for us.
Being in good hands is the only place to be.
Just as the ads promised, the Jones family thought they were in good hands with Allstate. But a 3-month primetime investigation shows what they were really getting was a calculated company effort to persuade them they didn't need to hire a lawyer.
We were told to be very empathetic, treating them like they were your best friend.
Linda Brown was an Allstate adjuster for 12 years.
And the point of this whole pitch to the claimant was?
To keep them from an attorney.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
And why was Allstate so bound and determined to make sure that these claimants didn't get attorneys?
To save money.
Allstate faces more than 50 lawsuits for allegedly deceiving thousands of people its policyholders hit. Those people could have hired lawyers to sue Allstate, but many of the injured say after being convinced to work with the company without an attorney, they signed away rights and settled for millions less than they should have. Now officials in 9 states are investigating, but as Primetime's hidden cameras will show you, Allstate adjusters are still telling people they can get a better deal without a lawyer.
How do I know that you guys aren't, just ripping me off?
Well, no, we always make a fair offer.
The good hands people are deceiving the public?
Well, the good hands people have a different interest than the person who's injured by an Allstate insured.
Pennsylvania Attorney General Mike Fisher is suing Allstate for violating consumer protection laws, saying the company's actions were fraudulent and deceptive.
For them to say that you're in good hands because you're our customer, an injured party isn't Allstate's customer.
In fact, aren't they adversaries?
They are adversaries.
How many of you feel that Allstate was deliberately trying to get you not to hire an attorney? Show of hands. All of you. All of you felt that way.
These are just a few of the dozens of people suing Allstate, who say they were manipulated not to hire an attorney.
Usually in an accident, that's the first one of the things you think of, attorney, but they put me at ease so much that I discounted the idea.
They were caring and they were empathetic and they had our best interest at heart when in fact all they wanted to do was keep us from getting what we deserved.
Take a look at this Allstate brochure. It explains why people hit by its policyholders don't need a lawyer, saying they can settle more quickly without one, and that attorneys often take up to 40% of any payment. Many also received this service pledge, telling them they were Allstate customers, and the adjuster was their claim representative.
I trusted the man. I really did. I trusted him.
Doug and Jackie Martin settled with Allstate after being hit by one of its policyholders. Jackie, who was 24 weeks pregnant, slammed into the dash. But in a lawsuit, the Martins say the adjuster convinced them their unborn child had no legal claim. Allstate denies that. 3 months later, Jessica was born with brain damage, and the Martins have huge medical bills.
No. What?
It turns out they could have brought a claim for Jessica, but not after settling with Allstate.
There's times we don't know where our next dollar's coming from. We don't know what's going to come from day to day of this.
As for Jan and Terry Jones, they say after Allstate convinced them to settle, they learned that limited how much they could get from the manufacturer of a defective seatbelt.
Was this negligence? I think it was.
A Washington state judge has ruled Allstate engaged in the unauthorized negligent practice of law, a decision Allstate is appealing.
To me, it's a big boy on the block trying to take advantage of the little people.
Allstate sent us this statement, saying it's committed to resolving all claims fairly and appropriately, and wants to give claimants important information to make an informed decision on whether to hire a lawyer. But the company refused our request for an interview. So we talked with Bob Zeman from the National Association of Independent Insurers, a group that lobbies for Allstate and other companies.
If you hire an attorney, at the end of the day, you are likely to end up with less money than if you don't hire an attorney.
If you've been hurt, get a mean lawyer.
Zeman says Allstate is trying to counter all those ads by trial lawyers looking for business.
If you've been hurt in a car accident, we have collected huge dollars for our clients.
Instead, letting people know they don't have to get an attorney. He denies Allstate is misleading injured drivers.
I just want to make sure that I've got this straight. I'm hit by an Allstate driver, but I'm an Allstate customer.
You could be an Allstate customer someday. I didn't say you are an Allstate customer.
I'm talking about for the purposes of this.
Chris, I said Allstate is going to treat you fairly, as though you could be a customer sometime in the future.
Forgive me, Mr. Zeman, isn't this insurance salesman gobbledygook?
Chris, what we really see here is trial lawyer gobbledygook.
Whatever you call it, Allstate has put a lot of thought into this program. Primetime has obtained a copy of this confidential 1995 company training manual. One goal, the manual says, is to, quote, reduce attorney involvement. And it turns out those claims adjusters who seem so sympathetic were all following the same script.
The manual tells adjusters what to say word for word, to make early contact, act as an advocate, and establish empathy.
We had a term for it, very fuzzy-wuzzy.
Fuzzy-wuzzy?
Fuzzy-wuzzy.
Linda Brown, an adjuster until last year in Allstate's Lexington, Kentucky office, says she was shocked to see how claims were being handled.
I've seen adjusters make fun, sort of make a gagging motion while they were reading the script.
You mean while they're acting so concerned, so I'm on your side, they're sitting there making faces like this is a game we're playing here.
Exactly.
Brown says she refused to read the script. Once a highly rated employee, she says it was one of the reasons she was fired for poor performance. She's now suing Allstate. This group had never seen the company's training manual.
When you look at the script and you realize, they were just reading the lines, how does it make you feel?
Like you're one of the dumbest people in the world. How could you be so gullible? How could you not have known?
With Allstate now the target of so many investigations, we wanted to find out whether the company is still carrying out this policy. So we asked two people who had been hit by Allstate insured drivers, Bob Wester in Arkansas and Flamania Borges in North Carolina, to meet with adjusters about their claims while wearing hidden cameras. This adjuster represents the other driver, but he makes it clear to Flamania that hiring an attorney is a bad idea.
It's a known fact that usually the amount that the actual claimant gets is more when they don't have an attorney than they do because the attorney's going to take a third.
This adjuster tells Bob she isn't acting as his lawyer, but assures him she'll look after his interests.
I'm paid to handle, both claims for our policyholders and the claims of those folks that our people hit and are at fault.
Her to represent me as far as getting this settled.
Yeah.
Clearly false and misleading.
We showed the tapes to former New York Attorney General Dennis Vacco. who got Allstate to stop telling claimants in his state they were customers. From what he saw, he said Allstate is still misleading people.
We create the impression that we're going to make you comfortable, we're going to take care of you, and we're going to treat you fairly, when there's an inherent conflict of interest, in my estimation, is deceptive in itself. They're trying to mislead these folks, and they sound like used car salespeople.
Both adjusters did offer disclaimers, saying you can always get an attorney. But Vaca was still disturbed, especially by what you're about to see, when the adjuster tries to talk Bob into signing a medical release form.
The doctor won't give us any records or bills without signing, having one of those forms.
So I don't need a lawyer to sign it?
No, oh no.
Bob doesn't realize the form he's about to sign gives Allstate access not just to a few bills from the accident, but his entire medical history, which the company could use against him.
I believe that the mere fact that he signs that document, he immediately prejudices and hurts his case. That is now not only deception, but it's deception compounded by the fact that she is now indeed offering up legal advice, and that's what she does here.
Both Allstate adjusters declined to comment. Of course, the bottom line is the bottom line. Who benefits from Allstate's sales pitch?
Chris, you are likely to end up with less money, believe it or not, if you are represented by an attorney.
Zeman cited recent studies done by the Insurance Research Council, which found people with attorneys received an average of $800 less after paying legal fees than people without lawyers.
It's good news for consumers. They can be empowered with this information.
By the way, who finances the Insurance Research Council?
Of course, it's the insurance industry, Chris.
Allstate's own 1995 training manual says the opposite, that people with attorneys settle not for less, but 2 to 3 times more. Allstate says that's no longer true. But listen to the case of Sandra White, who lost part of her knee in this accident. She says Allstate initially offered her $50,000. But when she got an attorney, Allstate settled for $100,000. Even after legal fees, Sandra ended up with an extra $16,000.
And what they did was deliberate, and it was calculated, and they intended to cause harm to all of us.
And it's not just the money. Beyond all the dollars, there's a lot of heartache.
Hear about different scams and how people have been taken, and you always think, well, that can't happen to me. And, well, when this was over, I figured, wow, boy, I've been scammed by the best.
So what should you do if you're in an accident? The experts say don't sign anything until you've gotten legal advice. As for Allstate, after all the lawsuits, the company has stopped sending letters to claimants that refer to them as customers. But the company continues to mail brochures highlighting reasons why people in accidents might not want to hire a lawyer.
For more on this story, you can go to our website, abcnews.com.